Well, here we are, you guys. We're looking at Sofia, Bulgaria. This PK here with Out of the Box and really living out of the box. I'm here with my wife on a 6-week vacation. During the pandemic, I was here last summer, and I'm just grateful. I got a bit of jet lag, so excuse me. And let me just sit down here. We can talk. Tell you what the episode's going to be about. How I come up with these ideas, who knows? It's what happens when you're crazy. Let's get this settled. Much better. There we go. And get my notes. Anyway, so I said it's PK here with Out of the Box, living out of the box. Come on. How many people come to Europe? Again, I was here last summer and now again here. I just arrived 4 days ago. I couldn't get in. I'm able to get in. I have a European wife, a Bulgarian wife. I lived here in Bulgaria 12 years. And so I have access. So I can always get in. In fact, all of us from LA, in fact, the name of the show, before I start rambling on, is Why I've Always Had a Problem with the Valley. And we're talking about all of you, all of us who grew up in LA or live in LA or moved there. There's always been this tension between the West Side and the Valley, as I call it, 818 land. Again, what I want to tell you is that not only is it 818 land, is the other expression is, maybe you guys know this from the past, my waves, my beach, valleys, go home, out of here. And, I don't know if this still goes on today, but I think it probably does. So what I want to do is give you a little background of my experience. I grew up in Westwood. Then I moved to Bel Air as a kid and then over to Beverly Hills. My mother got divorced, and at the age of 14 was my first real experience of living in the Valley. I had to move in with my father, who lived in some horrible place called Studio City, which I guess is some nice place, but when you grow up on the West Side in the better spots, this seemed like a nightmare, but I had nowhere else to go. And for the first year, my father drove me to the junior high. Next thing you know, it's time for me to go to high school. And where do I go? This North Hollywood High. And really deep in the valley. I mean, it really went from the West Side very deep in that valley. And what can I tell you? It was just a very bizarre experience. I really hated it. It would just seem like, I don't know, it's always been this way. There's just this underlying tension from on the West Side and the Valley. And what happened was, after 1 year, I transferred back. I couldn't take it. I got my driver's license at 16 and drove myself back over to the West Side, used my old address, and I went to this University High School, which is in next to Westwood. For all of you guys all know this area, and that was fun. So then my next experience in the Valley was maybe at the age 29. I had a commodity business and was on top of the world for a while. Next thing you know, crash all the way down to the bottom, broke, and I have nowhere to go. My father owns an apartment complex in a place called Woodland Hills. I'm sure you all are familiar with it. And I was there for 4 years in a Woodland Hills apartment. And so I really got not only in the high school, what it was like to be in high school for 1 year, being the Valley, also what it was like to be older. And it really felt horrible for me. As I said, I've just always had a problem with the Valley. I think when you grow up on the West Side, and what I wanted to tell you was, the interesting thing is, I remember even back in the high school, everybody I meet in the Valley who grows there, they're always trying to make how great it is and a better deal, and it's so much nicer, and the traffic, and always trying to tell me, convince me that, you guys in the West Side are a bunch of snobs. Well, maybe they're right. There's probably some truth to that, but I'm guilty of that. PK is guilty of that, no question. Especially when you grow up with a family that's throwing money at you all the time, and then you make money in your 20s. So I really had this problem, with the Valley. And what I want to talk about is some of the key points of what what it's like there. I know you, all you guys who are from this region, can really relate to it. As first of all, Mulholland Drive, this was the border for all of us. You ask somebody, where do you live? You can say, what side of the hill do you live on? And Mulholland Drive at the top there, this was the border. And if you live on the other side of the hill, well, we know what that means. You live in 818 land. And that's it. And, you just felt, your heart sinks. I can't describe the feeling. But that really was the border. And you could say, okay, PK, well, what was it that you didn't like about the valley? What's the big deal? What I didn't like about it was there's like a mentality about it's cheaper. Everyone was trying to convince me how it's a better deal, and I don't know what it was. Maybe from growing up in this Bel Air, and you get spoiled, and I was a spoiled kid, but it just there's some mentality about being in the valley. I think, I'm sure today. Remember, I've not lived in LA since I was 34. After that, I got back on my feet, moved to Maui for 5 years, and then came to Europe and been here for 12 years, and now I'm back 5 years. I went back to Florida. My wife and I live in this Palm Beach, Florida, which is unbelievable. But we're here for the 6 weeks. So anyway, I'm sorry I'm rambling. It's just still a little bit jet lagged from the flight. Let's see, what else I want to mention. There was something, also, so first we had the mentality, and then when my father lived in Studio City, and we used to visit him like all divorced kids, live with the mothers, spend the weekend with the father and the stepmonster. Remember, I had stepmonster. I'm sure many of you had a stepmonster too. Thank God she had no kids. We didn't have any half brothers or sisters. And we went to this Duke bars. I think it's probably still there. We went there every Sunday for breakfast. I felt shame going there. There's just something about the Duke bars. When I think of Duke bars, I think, wow, boy, PK, you really hit the bottom. You're eating at Duke bars. It's a place for breakfast, a real big, I don't want to say hangout, but it's where everybody went. And we went there every Sunday. And again, I just grew up with this from the age of maybe 6 years old, and it bothered me. So, look, the bottom, what can I tell you? You grow up on the West Side, you're a snob. But, it's not a good thing. I'm not proud of it, but at least I can admit it. I can look in the eye like I am doing right now, even here in Sofia, Bulgaria, at age 62, and say, look, I was a snob during these teen years. No question. So I'm guilty. So, but the real question is PK, is there anything I liked about the valley? And of course, nothing is all great and all bad. I mentioned the things that bother me about the valley, but I'm going to tell you 2 things that I thought were great about the valley, which is, number 1, I used to love this Arts Deli. It's on Ventura Boulevard. It's probably still there. I remember he had every sandwich as a work of art. It's one of these Jewish delis, like a Nate and Al's of Beverly Hills type vibe. I think it's still there. I probably should have looked to see if the guy's still there. But that was the place to go. I love those deli sandwiches, so I love that. And the second thing I loved about living in the valley, again, it's food related. How many of you have made those In-N-Out burger runs? I love that. Now, of course, on the West Side, we have the Fat Burger, which I love that too. But the In-N-Out burger, they didn't have this on the West Side, So when I was living, in Woodland Hills there in my late 20s, early 30s, I probably was one of the best customers. I had no money at that time. So those, unfortunately, those are only the 2 things I liked about, about the valley. So, in conclusion, let me just make sure. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm drifting here. Sorry about that. It came from the fitness. Some people can really travel It took us 18 hours to get here. Pandemic, this, even though it was easy, empty. I'm not going to complain. I feel fortunate that everything is open. We're going to go to Greece next month like we did last summer. In fact, last summer it was actually easier to travel. That's what's so interesting. You would think this summer would be easier. Half the people vaccinated. But I'm telling you, I just got thrown off the plane on that Lufthansa Airlines because my mask was too low. Wasn't quite. And the guy kept coming over and he said, "One more time, off the plane to go." And we hadn't even taken off yet. So I mean, we didn't have any of this. You had to wear a mask last summer. So again, PK's rambling on, drifting about nothing. So look, the conclusion is why I've always had a problem with the Valley, which is the name of this show. I'm going 11 minutes. It's pretty simple. I'm reading this because it's just so classic. Any place that Kim Kardashian and the Kardashian family, if they live there, in my eyes, it's got to suck. This Encino, believe me, it's no Brentwood, it's no Beverly Hills, it's no Pacific Palisades. I know all of you who live there, know these areas well, will agree with me. It's just another place, but I live in Encino. Kardashians live in Encino, they grew there. So that's how I want to leave it. So anyway, we can get rid of this. Quickly, I'll smoke a cigarette, ramble on one more minute. Look, I hope they open up. They're talking about you can go to Greece. They're talking about this. They can open up to Americans. Look, I'm the only American in that German airport for the Frankfurt was empty. Here, empty. Yeah, the travel is easy, but it's something it's out of a Twilight Zone episode. This is how bizarre it is. Even though the life here is, it's not like in America. You don't have this right-left political vibe going on. You don't see the people so crazy over here about this. Here, it's all about the money. The more cases, the more money they get from the EU. So, but I would tell you this, I've been here now for a week. Compared to last summer, which was the height of the pandemic, everything is really coming down. I mean, this should be over. It really should be over soon, But they are going crazy in this Europe. I mean, I see people wearing masks. I mean, it's. I don't know what to tell you. It's frightening. Maybe there's no other word for it. And but anyway, I know here in Europe. The EU, they met. They want all the Americans to come here. Of course, will America let Europeans come to our country? I doubt it. The vaccination thing, everything is a disaster. At least in America, it's funny because last summer it was the reverse. They did flatten the curve down here in Europe, and in America, when I was here in July and August, and they said it was horrible, but it turned out. It was horrible in America, but here it was unbelievable. No masks, no one following rules. They said the beaches were all closed last summer in Europe. They said Europe's a disaster. Don't go. Well, you couldn't go anyway. But the ones who could go, it could be further from the truth. I went to Mykonos, Greece for a week. It was 75% full last August at the height of the pandemic. Unbelievable. So this goes to show they don't show these things on the news. Anyway. 14 minutes. It's BK here, out of the box. Wish everyone a great day. And I'll talk to you again. And that's it. That's really about my whole take about the Valley. Maybe it's changed. I doubt it. Maybe you guys can tell me if you're still there. You can write me and say, hey, PK, it's no difference. The same. Tension, Westside, Valley, where do you live? 818 Land, are you in 310? PK, ciao, everybody. Have a good day.